just a bloke in a bar.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Well, it's not a packer up, boys, because we got the troops in. You know what? I was literally, we were about to do packer up, boys, me and Maddie, and then I was like, I can sniff something in the air. So I went out to the car park and I said, news team assemble! And the fucking Gurino and Timmy came sprinting around the corner. They were just hanging out. They were just in the fucking area. And they're here. Guru.
I had a day head start on Timmy to sprint here in time, but we got here.
You started running on Wednesday night.
Half time on the road.
Bloody hell, and I got the great Timmy. How you going, mate?
Mate, that's the best intro I've ever heard. I'm better. You know what? I've had 2 days of being genuinely depressed from the Blues result. I think I'm sweet now.
Mate, and if you're all looking at us and you're going, ooh, you boys are looking hot, maybe the hottest podcasters in the game, that's because Bloke, brand new jumpers dropping, not this coming Monday, but the following Monday. So I think it is the 6th, the 3rd, sorry. It is the 3rd of July at 6 p.m. and there are limited numbers. So much we've ordered a smaller amount than we usually order because as you can see, we've never done these colours before, never done this style before. So only the real diehards will get it. So that is 6 p.m. on the 3rd, be there. Once they are gone, this will be the hoodies for the year. I mean, look, we might drop them again, but that'll be at least another 3 or 4 months. But at this stage, this will be the hoodies for the year. There is a limited amount, guys. 6 p.m. Monday. Put aside your shekels, $79.95. $79.95. They are absolutely fantastic. Beautiful material, and as you can see, colours that we've never done before.
This might be a favourite, just quietly.
I love it. Blue. I actually really like it.
I was going to say, Camp, there's been some seriously elite bloke gear going out over the years. If we're excluding the jerseys, which are just in the league of their own, yes, yeah. I reckon these are my favourite. I
love them because like the brown one with the big bloke, it's very like brandy, it's almost like you're announcing like I'm a bloke community or whatever. Whereas this is like quite subtle, so you can wear it. You know what I mean? Like it's more of a subtle kind of thing. So yeah, anyway, I love them. But let's get straight into it, boys. Before we get into it, Bloke Lager, get it from your local, the beer of rugby league. We're in every Liquor Legends in Queensland, every single celebrations in New South Wales, Queensland and ACT, plus on special in all IGA liquors and Thirsty Camels across New South Wales. Boys, just a summary, feelings about Origin.
Yeah, I think one thing that stood out for me, Campy, over the last few days is that all the chat's been about what New South Wales didn't do rather than what Queensland did. And I just thought from the very start of the series, all the decisions that Billy Slater made, I can't find one that he got even slightly wrong. And there were some big calls in there. I'd argue he made bigger calls than what Brad Fittler did at times.
No, I think so. To take out one Origin legend in Gagai, Kafusi Origin stalwart, Kalen Ponga, man of the match, game 3. Like, people are forgetting, he won man of the match in a decider and then didn't make the game 1 next year. That is huge.
And you look at all those guys that he left out and you look at the guys that he replaced them with, like they're all on track to be proper Origin stars of the future. I look at Hamiso, mate, and he's played 3 games at centre. Remember that position he couldn't play because he was going to get fucked on there? Yep. 3 games at centre, 3 wins, 4 tries. He's made 44 tackles. He's missed 1 tackle.
My God.
How much better could it possibly get than that?
And you know what's insane? I still reckon he's got more in him.
He's got heaps more in him.
Yeah, like actually when you watch DCE doing that, like chasing down Stephen Crichton, go back and watch it. When you see Hammer hit top speed, he just like eats up meters, then he gets cut off by, I think, Toto. But he is just, honestly, nearly might have caught him. Like, he was eating meters. He is so quick. Timmy, overall thoughts?
Yeah, look, Kemp, it'll be a cold day in hell when the words with any meeting come in my mouth that Queensland just get it. Like, shove that shit up your ass. But I have to admit, and it kills me to say this, Queensland wanted that series more than we did. And I just looked down at all the effort areas across the first 2 games and every time there was scrambling defence required or bodies around the ball or anything, you just outdid us every single time. And I think DCE's chase down, which will become an iconic Origin moment on Critter, that typifies it all. That and obviously the Lindsay Collins try to end game 1. As I feel crook saying it, but I think Queensland wanted this series more than we did.
Yeah, it's the beautiful thing about the DCE one. I spoke about this on yesterday's podcast. But if you take a screenshot when DCE makes a tackle, guess how many Queensland players are there? 12. All 12 are there ready to defend the next tackle. And then in the next tackle, Fafita gets there. So it took them 15 seconds to be ready to go again. We are fully at full strength on our line. Whereas unfortunately, with New South Wales, it was only To'o in the picture. And I think that's a really good example of, look, you could say want it more, but I just almost think it's more of a philosophy of, and it was one of the key philosophies going into camp, and DC said it after the game, was keep your feet moving. It sounds so simple. But if you've ever played footy, there are so many times when the ball's on the other end of the field, you might stop. Whereas Queensland, every single player at all times, there was even they were almost sometimes lining up for let's say, there's a breakdown in play and Reece Walsh is skipping across the field. Usually you might get one battler that just does a mad run to hit holes. They were three of the forwards were running up to hit holes. It was almost even sometimes when the ball from dummy half went behind some of the Queensland forwards, it was because there was too many keen to get the ball rather than just one hitting it up. Unbelievable.
There was one play throughout the game and it came to absolutely nothing, but Cam Munster got it on the left-hand side of the field. There was nothing on. He did his normal step, spin and come back. As he was halfway through the spin, on the other side, it was Ruben Cotter and someone else. They just went, yep. And they just both started to hit lines.
Yeah.
And it was just, the timing of it all looked like they'd practiced it. But it was just Munster playing off his head and just everyone, their instincts just kicking in. Guy that's part of the Supercoach Playbook, the Supercoach Spy, he made a fantastic point on Twitter the other day, which stood out for me so much. And to be honest, I didn't notice it live, but the very first try is Val Holmes that scores it off the kick. Controversial, whatever, shit happens. But you go and you watch that, and you watch that kick goes in the air, and every single New South Wales defender inside the centre stands still.
Yeah.
Teddy even stops and watches from about 20 metres away.
Yeah.
And as you keep coming back to it, and Slater keeps saying it, keep your feet moving. And we saw it in game one with Lindsay Collins, and we saw it again there.
Yeah, I was going to say, it was the same with the Lindsay Collins try, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Bodies in motion from Maroons everywhere.
Yeah. And even the DC try, the only way he got there was because he was almost moving across already just in case something happened. If he had been in his position standing still, there's no way he catches Critter. And again, it sounds like such a cliche thing, but it really was the difference. They just kept their feet moving all game.
For sure. And for me, Origin's all about getting punched in the face and how you respond to it. Reece Walsh puts that kick into Stephen Crichton, doesn't go their way, he makes a break for it. How does DCE respond to it? Gets on his bike and goes. New South Wales then swing it to the other side. Probably should have scored. Once again, another wasted opportunity. We turn the ball over, punched in the face. How do we respond? Pat Carrigan puts DCE away, skips straight to the other side. Was the pass forward? I think it was. You get away with them though. Shit happens. Deal with it. We didn't deal with it.
I reckon I'll say the pass was definitely forward in my opinion, but I reckon the try under the new rules, as in Valentine Holmes, under the new rules where it doesn't matter about control as long as it doesn't leave the hand, I reckon the Holmes was a try, but it was a forward pass from Fafita, I think.
And, I've heard a lot of New South Wales fans complaining about decisions that went against us. Just wind your mind back to game one and how many decisions went our way. We still did nothing.
Well, you actually won the penalty count 9-4.
Of course we did.
And also, if we get done by 6 or 10, all right, let's have this conversation, and the one that we don't have about refs. When we get blown off the park by 20 plus points, you can't say, there's two tries that could have gone the other way. It's like, mate, we were outplayed completely. Don't blame refs for getting blown off the park.
Mate, even if we won if we lose by 6, if we did everything right in our backyard, then we can talk about referees. But we got so much wrong and made so many poor decisions, didn't ice so many moments that I think that we can't even have that conversation.
All right, we'll talk about New South Wales first, and then we'll get into Queensland. New South Wales, the biggest decision of the game, in my opinion, was moving Cook to centre. Now, there's been heaps of talk about it. First of all, I want to lead off with, I thought Cook tried his absolute heart out. And I know that, growing up, he'd played a bit of wing, maybe some centre, but I have to say I strongly disagree with the decision to put him there. Now, the explanation has been it's because he's fast. Reece Walsh is speed. It's actually funny. What were we speaking about before game one? We said Reece Walsh's speed is going to be a real issue for even a guy like Latrell because he's so big. He's going to not know whether to jam or not. And so how almost poetic that in the end that was such a crucial moment is Reece Walsh's speed. You could argue it may have won the game because they put Cook there because they were concerned about it. Anyway. So I understand where they're coming from with that. They're like, in regards to he is fast, Reece Walsh is fast also. But I just feel that there's so much more to defending than being fast. Like some of our best defenders ever in centres have been slow centres. Like Mick DeVere, he wasn't quick. Matt Cooper, was he that quick? Like he was okay. Who else? Like Gasnier was a good defender. Any other centres that come to mind?
Well, just like even players at the back end of their career who might have been elite speedsters early in the day, like Josh Morris, one of the best defensive centres we've ever team. Don't get me wrong, he wasn't slow when he finished his career, but when he was a veteran in his early to mid 30s, and he didn't have the speed, but his defensive read was unbelievable.
Yeah, and so like I just felt that defensively, and as I said, the New South Wales coaching staff, they've forgotten more about footy than I even know. But I just feel that surely there's more to defence, spacing, defensive systems. Okay,
Will Chambers is a good one.
Will Chambers? Yeah, 100%. Like, okay, Reece Walsh is really fast. All right, how are we going to combat that? We've just got to jam in and then slide from behind. So I don't know why the message didn't go out to, if they are going to go with Cookie, just always jam and then just get Luai sliding in behind. So that aside, I just do not understand why Cam Murray wasn't immediately put there, because not only has Cam Murray played centre, he's one of the best defensive players in the competition. He's one of the best players in the competition. I also think that what's harder, making a debutant go for 80 in hooker, or Cam Murray playing 80 at centre. And not only do you not have Cam Murray in centre, you've got Hooker in centre, you've ruined the rotation of giving Robson a break and getting Cookie through the middle. Where was Cookie's try scored? Through scrap play, through the middle. So I just think that was such a big call. That was probably, in my opinion, it was the wrong call.
Yeah, and it was a domino effect because it took away our entire plan at hooker. Now, I heard Brandy explaining it, and I'm so glad that Vossi pushed back on what Brandy was saying and asked for a deeper explanation, because the more I listen to that explanation, honestly, the less sense it made to me. And that's hindsight, great call. I can show you our text conversations the moment Freddie made the decision. And in my mind, I thought, okay, Freddie's going to chuck Cook at centre for the next 15 minutes to work it all out. He stayed there the entire game. And you could tell that Billy Slater looked at it and went, good as gold. There's our game plan.
Oh, mate, they got the message straight away. Immediately, Queensland game was directed all at Cookie.
Yeah, and this comes back to exactly what I said after game one. This game it was Damien Cook who was played out of position. Last game it was Nico Hines. For me, it's not about Damien Cook. It's not about Nico Hines. It's about New South Wales. And why can't we put guys out of positions and they handle themselves? Because Queensland does it. Tell me right now, even if it was the bad call, if Billy Slater said to Ben Hunt, I need you to play centre tonight, so he gets shown up, I don't think he does.
Yeah. You know what's so, I guess, ironic about this whole situation? And this is no disrespect, but if there is one guy that emulates that Queenslander kind of mould, it's Cam Murray.
100% it is.
That's what I don't understand. Why, if there's one guy you go, you know what, I'm going to stick him on the wing, he'd find a way to get it done. And also, Cam Murray only coming on in the second half, 48 minutes in, I think he should have been starting.
Brandy said himself, the plan was to bring Cam Murray in the 30th minute. Great plan.
Yeah.
What the fuck happened?
I don't know.
Why did we wait until the 48th minute to put Cam Murray on the field? He's one of the 3 or 4 guys that, in my opinion, is an origin player in our team.
100%.
And I cannot believe he didn't get put on the field. And the only reason I can assume why he wasn't put on the field or he wasn't put at centre is because he wasn't 100%. And if he wasn't 100%, he shouldn't have been there. You took a really hard stance on Campbell Graham. Why not the same for Cam Murray? And if you're going to back him to be there, you have to back him 100%.
Well, Selwyn Cobbo, he probably could have played for Queensland. He had, was it 2 tries game one? Anyway, he was great game one. So Billy Slater was so strong in his decision. He was like, unless you're ready to go ripping and a tearing, he dropped, after a win, he dropped the winger and brought in Coates. Timmy, thoughts on the Cookie situation?
Yeah, look, I think to be honest, I think the Blues lost this series at the selection table. And it's not a case of hindsight hero, because when we sit here and punch out 5 podcasts a week, you can track back, and boys, we said from the start of the series and leading into game 1 that we didn't get our bench right. I'm like such an enormous advocate, always have been, of picking utility back on the bench in the modern game. I think it cost us game 1 with Nico, who couldn't play centre. Got found out there for the match winner. Game 2, I think Cookie having to go out there, just about, and we'll get into more detail soon, but just about everything good Queensland, that's a bit harsh on Queensland. A large amount of the good things that Queensland did, particularly in attack that led to line breaks, were going through Damien Cook. We spoke about defensively, him being called out. Even in attack, like Jerome Luai, who's come under a bit of critique for his game, sure he didn't have the best game, but he still put Cookie in some pretty good positions in attack that an out-and-out centre catches passes. We had the overlap and we couldn't execute them because he was playing out of position. And look, mate, we get a lot of things wrong in this podcast, but I think we were all pretty adamant on utility bench on the back from the start of the series. And I just think if Matt Burton is on that bench, it changes the outcome of this entire series. So I love Freddie, but there were some horrific, I think, selection issues.
And if you want to go back even further, yes, Matt Burton would have a good answer, but if Jack White was available, this series is turned on its head.
I would have been calling Jackie after game 1, saying,
100%.
mate, please. I will say,
well, you wouldn't have need to have called Jack White after game 1, because game 1 he would have stamped his authority on it and he would have forced himself to be picked again.
So I will say, I think, like, I'm okay with Cookie being the 14. But what surprises me, and I understand, like, you definitely were pro Matt Burton. We spoke about this last week. But what I don't get is, like, the reason you chose Cookie was to have the 1-2 punch in the hooking role. And so the reason for him being selected is just irrelevant. So if you are going to say to him, because apparently Freddie said to him, you'll play centre if someone gets injured. Apparently said that to him before that.
That was the plan.
Apparently that was the plan. So if that is the plan, 100%, you got to go with Burton. Like, you got to go with Burton.
Because we said, when we spoke about it, and you go, right, they've gone with Robson as the utility, or when I say utility, obviously the forward utility. All right, if you're going to do this, at least we've got Cam Murray there to somewhat fill a gap in a position he's unfamiliar with. But then when it became Cookie, it was like what in the world is going on? You both already said it, but if Cookie wasn't fit enough to go out and slot in at centre when we needed him, he should have been playing.
Sorry, Murray.
Murray, he should have been playing. And then if they're going to play him through the middle, I said, playing bigger minutes.
Well, I also don't get, like, he's going to hit essentially top speed in the middle. He came on for 30 minutes and ran for over 100 metres.
He was great.
It was incredible. So it's like, it's very... And so prior to the game, I felt pretty strongly, give Freddie another year. He's your second most winning coach. He's done some incredible things. But I just think after watching that game and just seeing some clear... decisions that I respectfully disagree with, and we all agree here. We are huge fans of Freddie. Huge fans of Freddie.
That's why it hurts so much to critique, because what he's done for the Blues and rugby league, and he would have had justifications behind all his decisions. And if we heard them, we go, okay, I see that and I see that, but we can only say if what we talk about what we're going, if what we've seen, and a lot didn't make sense. Yeah,
and so I just think after that, I believe clear errors. Like, even Stefano played 12 minutes. I don't understand that. I don't...
Even Toto and Fox, the fact that they switched edges. And that's saying, all right, I made a mistake in game 1. They'd played different edges to what they play at Clubland every single week. I know there was combinations, this and that, but to swap them game 2, it was admitting you're wrong and you made a mistake. Now, that's admirable in some ways. To go, all right, I made a mistake, let's rectify it, but why did it happen in the first place?
And then you've got not starting Liam Martin. Like, I don't know. I just don't think that you had the luxury of having both Liam Martin and Cam Murray on the bench. Like, they are, okay, Queensland's game plan, and you're all aware of it, but at Suncorp especially, what do we do here? We kick early on 3. So what do you need? You need at least wide running forwards that are fit as anything, get back and take hit-ups. But instead, you went for Hudson Young and Tyson Frizzell, they're fit, but they don't get through the work that Martin and Murray do. They're more kind of explosive game breakers. So that's another decision that I just was quite shocked with. Look, I'm not sure what direction New South Wales should head in, or who specifically should or shouldn't go, but I do think substantial change needs to be made.
And I agree, mate. I'm the biggest Brad Fittler fan in the world, but I think we have to move in a different direction. The question is, though, what direction is that?
That's what I mean.
And like I was saying to mates the other night, geez, do we get Jeff Tuvey, Greg Bird, and James Maloney in a room and go, you do your thing?
Yeah, I mean, look,
I don't know. I heard Bas Rothfield say the other day, Ricky Stewart, and people laughed. Is it a bad idea to get a guy that's heaps passionate?
Yeah. Well, there's another that could potentially work. Craig Bellamy redemption. It might be his last year next year. He comes up. This is Matty John's idea, so I won't steal it. You said it today on the Morning Glory on SEN. But basically, Riles is obviously the assistant coach there that's going to be the head coach. Around Origin time, he hands the reins of the Storm to Riles and he focuses on Origin.
I don't love, personally, the idea of... I think the game has become such a beast of its own, state of origin. Club coaches do it. I think Craig Bellamy and Ricky Stewart definitely could do it. I think Ricky Stewart would be perfect for it, if I'm being honest. You look at the passion that Queensland seem to have all the time, essentially. They bring in these legends. I know the Blues bring in legends, have yarns. But as Guru said, who better than Ricky Stewart to do it and instill that and the pride in that jersey? But I think it's way too big a job for a club coach to do. And I also find it unfair on the club to lose their head coach essentially for 6-7 weeks. There's got to be a coach out there somewhere. Yeah. I thought we mentioned last week, I think I said maybe Desi Hasler. Well, that's gone out the window, but...
Yeah, the great Desi at the Titans.
Mate, the only other one, and a guy that I think would have a fantastic persona for it, and I think he represents what we need, where we need to get back to and what we need to become once again, but he just doesn't have the coaching experience. Boyd Gordon is one that I wouldn't mind.
Get him in the coaching staff at least. Yeah. At
least in the coaching staff. But that's, and as a New South Welshman, I'm sure, Timmy shares the same. Like, I just sit there and I go, if you told me to name our greatest New South Wales Blues players ever, if I had to name a top three, I couldn't possibly leave Freddie and Joey out. And if they can't get it across, I don't know. Where
Can you have a word to Matty?
He's already said no.
I don't think Matty's stupid enough to do it.
Well, he's already said I got too much on.
Remember he said it to us at the CAC? Oh, he went there.
You know what? I was in actually yesterday doing a show at News Corp at the telly offices, and Matty was down there sitting by himself having a coffee. I was so tempted to just be like, "Hey, Matty, want to run some shape, bro?" I was like, oh.
Okay, let's get into more specifics in regards to players. I thought To'o was outstanding for the Blues. Critter, pretty quiet. Outside of that interception, relatively quiet. Addo-Carr, unfortunately, I love the Fox, but I thought it was probably one of his, maybe his worst game.
Well, by the lofty standards he has set himself, you could argue it was his worst game.
It wasn't the best game, let's put it that way, unfortunately for the Fox. Jerome Luai had some moments, but, wasn't really, I don't know. I just think that it's probably time, unfortunately, to replace that 6 role.
Compared to others, I didn't think Jerome was awful, though.
I didn't think he was awful, but also at the same time, he's been there for, 3 years now?
Yeah.
And this was his opportunity to really step up. It was 32-6. That's a tough loss anyway.
I agree on Jerome, but just touching on it before, and he did the same in game 1 when Critter was on his edge. Obviously, Critter made the switch earlier in that game with the Tommy Turbo injury, but your job is to get your strike centres, good, clean, early ball. He did that on 4 or 5 occasions, and Cookie, again, playing out of position, so there's absolutely no knock on Cookie at all, but went for a few Hail Mary tip-ons and different things that didn't come off, but he got him in decent positions where if it is a strike centre, let's say Critter was still on that edge, I think the tip-on's better, or they beat their man rushing up or whatever it is, but because it was Cookie, it just didn't happen. So, as I said, I'm not saying Luai had a wear of a game by any means, but for the big criticism going towards him for it, he was impacted just as much as Cookie was shifting that position.
Fair. I just think defensively he missed 7 tackles, the most of any Blues. But I agree in regards to he actually did put Cookie in good positions. He had a try assist obviously in game, or 2 try assists I think in game 1. But I just feel that something fresh needs to be put in the halves, whether it's Hines with Cleary, whether it's Moses. Now Mitchell Moses, I thought Mitchell Moses had a good first half. But unfortunately, second half, I do think that he didn't really stamp his authority at all in the game, and they still had heaps of field position. And so I would give Moses a good, solid performance. I don't think he played poorly at all. I thought his defence, especially in the first half, was incredible on Dave Fafita, like massive props.
It's a staple of Mitch Moses' game, and this is where we talk about combinations over and over and over again, is he's just that last second switch down the short side, his short side raids, and he took off there at one point. He saw a 2-on-2 to make it a 3-on-2, and you went, we're on. And he looked up, and Critter was 5 metres behind. And again, it's just like that's not a attacking system that Critter's probably used to, playing with Nathan Cleary, who is more conservative, and will get to a place on the field where Mitchy Moses will play off cuff, see it, take it on, and just like, oh, that was the opportunity. And poor old Mitchy went down there. Critter didn't follow up with him. Like, opportunity blown.
Yeah.
Oh, I think this game would have got a lot uglier if Mitch Moses wasn't on the field in the first half, though. I thought he did too.
The first half was great. I will say, though, that like coming out of the game, if Cleary played the same game as Moses did and they lost 32-6, he'd be getting fucking crucified. So I think that the people that are very adamant that Cleary's not the guy, I'm not saying he's going to be. I'm not saying that he's a definite for next year, but also I think like Wednesday showed that he's not the problem, guys. Cleary's not, like, you had all that field position again, and again you couldn't execute. I think that there is much deeper problems than any one specific player in the blue. Like there's attacking systems, there's combinations that don't seem to be working. So Mitchell Moses, I thought, was solid. Again, I do think that he really could have stepped to the game a little bit more in the second half.
Special mention to his first half chip chase on first tackle the repeat set.
So good.
That, like, he's come in playing for his Origin career. To go for that on first tackle, seeing the spacing behind the line, you just went, like, if that went dead or went to Queensland hand before the line and they got the ball back, crucified, we went, no, I'm going for it.
Jesus was a big turning point, I thought, too, in this game when he put in that perfect kick to the in goals. And of course, it sat up in front of Munster.
Yeah.
Munster caught the ball, seemingly turns around in slow motion like he always does, and just got spiders on him and people can't
And what's crazy is that's a second time. So the chip chase, Munster was already turning. Like, Munster is so good instinctually, not just attack. He was already turning before Mitchell Moses chipped that ball.
Yep.
He could tell just somehow he was going to chip on tackle 0. Unbelievable.
He's a cracker, Munster. I reckon if you told him to explain that moment to him, he wouldn't be able to.
No way. So Mitch Moses is solid. I think so solid that he, like, solidly enough that there's an argument to be made that you could even go Cleary Moses at 6. I think that he has enough attacking flair to be that 6 if he wanted to. So I don't think he's hurt his chances anyway, but at the same time, I don't think he was, incredible or whatever.
And this is the big worry heading into next year for me. I'm going, who's going to be our 9, our 7, our 6, our 1, and our coach?
Well, I
look at Queensland, and I know what the answer to that question is going to be for the next 5 years.
Well, I think Reece Robson was outstanding.
I think he was good too.
I really think, and I'm really disappointed that we didn't get to see him rotate with Cookie to see what his physicality was like in the forwards. Because I thought defensively he was outstanding for you guys.
Really wanted to see him play at 13 for 15 minutes.
Just to see. Just to see,
answer the question.
Can he handle the physicality? Can he be similar to Cotter? I thought he was great. So I think Reece Robson, as long as he keeps playing well, I think he keeps that 9 spot. I think, depending on whether we want to go Cookie on the bench or Burton, whatever it is, I think Cookie... I just love the passion and energy Cookie showed. Like, I know that he put centre and, it was an issue for defensively, but I just thought that when he did get opportunity, he was pretty sharp.
But it is going to be interesting, game 1 next year when we're picking sides and whatnot. If Appy's fit and available, Freddie and them obviously like him.
Yeah, I think that this idea of this Penrith core, I think that is over.
Has to be.
It has to be. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't select the Penrith players. What I'm saying is that the idea that, okay, we're going to pick a core of Penrith players and we're going to play like Penrith because they're so good at club. The problem with doing that, and you can say it now because the series is over, but like Queensland already know how you're going to play because they go, you're just going to play like Penrith. How much hours of tape have we got on that? Whereas Queensland... Do you know how Queensland's going to play? No one does.
And I can't stress enough that I'm not saying you have to pick Appy, but it's going to be interesting again next year because it feels like we're throwing the cards up again and see where they land.
Yeah, I know.
Even imagine dropping Cookie off having to play at centre. He got his recall, albeit due to injury with Appy. Like, if he gets dropped based on playing 80 minutes at centre.
Well, you're going to, I think realistically next year, you're going to have to drop one of Cook or Robson.
I think Robson's there to stay. I just think with his age, I don't know. I thought he was outstanding. And Cookie's had outstanding origins too. I personally like Robson Cookie. I know you like the outside back utility on the bench. At this stage, I would stick with the Robson Cookie, and I would make sure to stick with that. If there's injury with outside back, I'd put Cam Murray there.
I hope that's not Cook's last origin.
Oh, please. He deserves way better than that. Now, number 10, the big fella, Payne Haas was absolutely incredible.
Yeah, and out of this entire game, nothing broke my heart than the one time someone moved their feet, someone stayed alive on the entire play, and then your front row was back there for the chip. And, of course, Queensland, you make your own luck 100%, but the chip bounces perfectly to the fastest guy on the field.
It's crazy.
And it doesn't matter that Payne Haas is there all of a sudden, which kills me.
It deserved to be a
big
silver
play.
lining moment at the end where
yeah.
you're like, Payne Haas, game dead and buried, you're the only one covering,
Yep.
and that bounce.
Mate, so heartbreaking.
We saw it, Payne.
Yeah, don't worry. We'll remember Payne. But, yeah, like in 67 minutes. So 67 minutes in Origin in the front row. Fucking hell. 21 runs, 160 metres, 63 post-contact, 5 tackle breaks, 4 offloads, 41 tackles, only 1 miss, 0 errors.
And the team conceded 32 points.
Far out.
And this is where, mate, like if you're not going to start with Liam Martin, you're going to wait until the last 30 minutes to put Cam Murray on, and you're going to put Stefano on for 12 minutes either side of half time. What are you doing to help him?
Yeah.
What are you doing to help Payne Haas out there? Like, I'm sure we'll get to it, but the use of Stefano was mind-boggling.
Yeah, I didn't understand.
Hey, mate, go there for 5 minutes, sit down for 15, then go out for another 5, and you're done.
Yeah.
You're an impact front rower. Like, what?
What I don't get is if you're going to play him like that, isn't that more suited to a nippy, fast, like super quick, explosive, like cheese almost? Isn't that more suited to that? 10 minutes of just going skits? Whereas a Stefano, I feel like minimum 20 minutes to get him just to have that roll-on effect. Anyway, we'll get to it. Tyson Frizzell, although I didn't think he played poorly, to be honest, I didn't think the New South Wales forwards played poorly. I personally thought you just got into good field and you just struggled to execute.
100% Kempy.
Yeah.
I thought our forwards were quite good. There were stages where we were winning the battle up front. The game was quite evenly poised. It was our back line again, keep harping back to it, but the centre spot and going back there, the damage was done there, but our edges were so brittle and so easily exposed, but I actually thought the forwards held their head high.
Obviously the
enough.
scoreboard. Yeah, enough. But, obviously the scoreboard is the real winner. But if you looked at the stats outside of the scoreboard, there's an argument to be had that they won the battle. It's really... So you go to the team stats. They ran for more metres, had more runs, more post-contact metres, more tackle breaks. There you go. You know what I mean? So there's at least, put it this way, it's not 32-6, even though that's what it ended up being. So I thought the forwards were right. I will say, though, that even though I thought Hudson Young had a much better game this game, I just don't know how you can think that Tyson Frizzell and Hudson Young should be getting more minutes than Martin and Murray. I just don't understand that.
That's where, as you said, so many of the stats favoured us. If we would have lost this game by 6 and the stats were that, it's baffling. To get done in the fashion that we did, that's just what State of Origin is. And that's what, I know Timmy said it before that, hate to say that, we don't get it or whatever, but...
Don't say it, Guru.
Fuck me.
Don't say it.
But, how many things do we need to have go away, the stats in our favour, all these little things, and we just...
Even if you believe it, don't say it.
We just don't get those moments. It shits me to no end.
So it was a 9-3 penalty win for you guys.
And that's what I mean. You look at that, a lot of things, I should say. A few things were in our favour.
Guru's about to explode.
With just the forwards argument, we had attacking opportunities. We had field possession. We couldn't capitalise. Our backline didn't have the points in us. So you look at our forward pack. There weren't many forwards who you say, they didn't name up or they had a bad game.
Agreed. But again, I still I don't understand how Cam Murray and Liam Martin aren't getting majority of the minutes. Sure. They're literally the Australian. Okay. Ikamanu, I can understand people that may not have agreed with him being selected in the first place, But now that he's here, you cannot afford to burn another young front rower. You have to keep him in the side. Because if you drop him now, that's another young gun burnt. I just think that you've got to stick with it now.
Yeah, and I mean, I can't believe, Matty, how many series has Stefano been in there for now? Is this his third series he's been around the camp? I think it's his third series he's been around the camp. And to use him for 13 minutes and bring him off the field, not put him back on, I don't.
And some might say he looked gassed or whatever, but then it's like, why did he get selected then?
Why'd you pick him then?
It's all very strange. Cam Murray, I thought he was absolutely outstanding when he came on. 13 runs, 102 metres, 2 tackle breaks, 3 offloads, 18 tackles, 0 misses. So good. I do think Isaiah Yeo has been really good. 2021, great. 2022, solid. Even statistically, he was okay. But I think it is probably time to give Cam Murray that 13 jersey and see how he goes.
Yeah, I think so as well.
Do you think he's telegraphing his passing game too much? Like, no matter how good a ball playing lock you are, and he's phenomenal at it, it should always be a run, first pass, second mentality. And that's okay if you're a link man and it is to get receipts and dish out and give good service. That's fine. But I just feel like, and it might just be me, but there's a lot of just catch, shape, pass straight away. There's no going up and engaging the line at all. We know he's going to pass it. I feel like Yo at his best, he goes up, shapes it, and then he'll dummy and they'll peel off him, bang, and he pins it, gets a quick play of the ball. Yeah. Catch, pass. So you've still got to engage the line. Maybe it's just me. I don't know.
Yeah.
I thought Yo at his best was standing on the other side of the field, Pat Carrigan. Yeah. The way that he was taking it to the line, the way that he always had the defence in two minds, whereas I agree, I think that what Isaiah Yeo was doing, I think it was telegraphed. It was very predictable the entire evening.
Yeah, and he had 16 runs, 139 metres, so that sort of reads okay, but it just goes back to the passing. He was always going to pass the ball when he wanted to do it.
And I just feel that, Cam Murray, I think he's a bit more of an explosive ball runner with a quick play of the balls. And so Isaiah Yeo, I'd probably still have in the side because he's so versatile. And he still made 45 tackles, didn't miss any. So it's not like he had a shocker. But if you're the link man in a team that has struggled to score points in 2 games in a row now, clearly structures need to be changed. Now, maybe it's not his fault. Maybe it's the people outside him that are making him pass early. But I think it's time to give Cam Murray a crack at that 13.
And that was the other thing, probably easy in hindsight, but that's another option that we could have taken. Isaiah Yeo started his career as a centre as well. You could have shifted Isaiah Yeo out there. If you didn't want to put Murray out there, which you could have done that as well, you could have shifted Isaiah Yeo out
Hudson
there.
Young. He's easily laterally good enough.
And this is my big worry going into this game. And, obviously you had Isaiah Yeo at 13. It was his first ever game playing with Reece Robson, or maybe his second ever game playing with Mitch Moses. But new combinations going up to Suncorp. Very tough.
Very tough. We've got to talk about him. Teddy, kind of already said this. Origin legend. He will always be an Origin legend. But I do think that his position is now under pressure. Not for this year. I think that it would be disrespectful to drop him for Game 3 because he's done so much for the state. But I think coming into next year, everyone's on an even playing field. It doesn't matter what your history is. It is the best man for the job that year. What do you guys reckon?
Yeah, I tend to agree. Unfortunately, it kills me to say that because I've got so much time and respect for Teddy, but I agree.
I just think that just his ball playing, he has decent ball playing. It's never been as flashy as a Reece Walsh or a Drinkwater or whatever, but I just felt that he never really engaged the line and created space for his outside men. It was always kind of a bit clunky.
He looks more and more like, which is so frustrating because you see at club and he reminds me at the moment, the Teddy we're seeing right now, kind of reminds me a little bit of Joey Martin. That's what it looks like. It looks like it's kind of Teddy ball and the guys around him, they're just not getting good ball around him. And it's so frustrating to watch because he's got it in him. You've seen it for year on year on year, and it's just clunky, just summarises everything we did in attack.
I feel like it's his positional play in attack as that sweeping fullback rather than the physical passing itself. It's almost like he's gone too far into the run first, pass second mentality, which I always encourage. I'm such a big fan, but I think it's a trap when you think pass.
I just never see him running on. When Reece Walsh gets it, he is at full speed.
That's what I mean. I think it's not the physical inability to pass because I think his ball playing over his career has been vastly underrated.
Yeah, for sure.
He gets his 3-on-2 and he nails it more often than not. He's
Usually.
not elite with it, but more often than not.
Yeah.
How often do you see, like, as far as like 12, 18 months ago, he was nailing it. How often now do you see him, as you said, club level, big time as well, him sweeping across at speed and getting that 3-on-2? It never seems to happen around Teddy anymore, and it's so concerning. And that's why I think if that can be fixed, and it can't be much, that he can get back to where he can, because he's not that old, Teddy.
No, I mean, look, as I said, if he gets selected from good form, like, I'm not saying he can't be selected again. I just think that there is pressure, like it's an even playing field heading into next year. That's where I think New South Wales are at. I don't think you can select really nearly anyone on history. That's where I feel it should be purely on a plan and players that you guys feel can stick to a game plan that the coach wants. Now, that could be Teddy because he's a champion. We all know he's a champion. And it's like so unfair on him. The bloke's won bloody player of his club for like 4 years in a row, and then he's had one quiet year. And all of a sudden, but I guess how ruthless this business is. Now, like, it sounds absurd, but like, do you look towards guys like Scotty Drinkwater? He's the closest thing to Reece Walsh. I know you shouldn't just reflect what Queensland are doing, but does that become like more of a reality? Whereas I think that for so many years for New South Wales, it was almost like Teddy's the guy. We don't even need to worry about it. Or do you go Latrell? Or do you think? Do you know what I mean? Like, what?
Yeah.
Do you have to just open it for everyone?
Mate, I honestly don't know what the answer is yet. I don't. Yeah, I'm not sure. My instant reaction was Latrell at fullback, to be honest with you. That was my first thought, but I didn't even think about Drinky. But I don't know. I'd be leaning towards Latrell Mitchell just because he's done it on that big stage and he's done it before. But I'd still be willing, and people will probably say it's crazy, but if Teddy comes out and shows good form and shows us what he can do in the first 10 weeks of next season, I have him back.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know a lot of people probably wouldn't, but I mean, if you don't pick Teddy, who's your captain?
Well, I'd probably give it to Cleary if Cleary gets selected.
Cleary,
That's the thing, isn't it? Like, Cam Murray?
Cam Murray.
I'd be able to go with, depending on how it all plays out between now and then, it wouldn't shock me if we get to game 1 next year and Cam Murray's our captain in 13.
Well, Cam Murray's a good one because there's no way he's getting dropped.
No.
Like, that'd be madness.
I don't think same as you, Guru. I'd give Teddy game 3, plays out this season, first 10 rounds next year. If he's not up to it, replace him. But there's a lot of time between now and then for him to say, no, I've still got it.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, like, I'm not. All I'm saying is that it's not a sure thing anymore.
Yeah.
I think that he has to work for it.
Yeah.
And it is going to be hard for Teddy because, like, realistically, he's going back to prove it at Clubland in a team that they're so far away from putting it all together. It makes it hard for him. And he has to be a little bit selfish in that side to make it work, which is realistically not what we want to see. He's in a really tough spot, Teddy.
Yeah, tough spot. And he's just been so good at Origin level, far out. I hope people look. I understand the internet. I understand we've got very short memories, but let's just remember how great this guy was. And it can still be. He has been one of. I reckon he's honestly. I would consider him a New South Wales legend and one of the most consistent players ever. But yeah, as I said, like the only guys that I'd sit here and say next year, not definitely, depends on how they play, but most likely is To'o, Haas, Murray,
Martin.
That's probably the lock in at the moment. Now, obviously, things
Turbo
can
and
change.
Latrell if they're fit.
Yeah, fit Turbo.
Yeah. I don't think it's as sure a thing as it used to be. Just because the injuries are just happening so regularly. It's such
I think though if he is fit and available, he has to be there. It's it, mate. The only time we compete with you or beat with you is when we got one of those.
But like, let's say he has another year like he had this year, where he may be injured, he's in, he's out. Like I think he needs to have. There's prerequisites, put it that way. Like he needs to have a good, solid, 5 or 6 rounds of rugby league under his belt. Rather than, because put it this way, going into this year, it was just like, we just need one good game.
And sorry to harp on about the bench utility, but you've got a bloke there who a breeze picks up and he tears a pec. He gets injured at any sort of drop of a hat. Like, doesn't that just buy more into you have to have someone to cover Tommy Turbo, like, on top of everyone else? Like, let's say it was Campbell Grant, someone there, and just reduces that injury risk a little bit, makes a bit more sense, but No one was shocked to see Tom Turbo go down injured in that game.
Especially when you originally picked the side. Latrell Mitchell was under an injury cloud and did get ruled out eventually too.
Yeah.
It's tough.
Yeah, it's tough. I feel terrible for Tommy because that injury is like it's not like you're not training hard enough, your diet's bad. Yeah. It is purely just like an impact injury. You cannot help that.
Yeah. And it goes the other way too. If we ran out with Matt Burton on the bench and Cook goes down in the first few minutes, it's hard to balance it out. But I just
look. I think the thing that I think most people get frustrated with is like if you pick one way, play that way. You know what I mean? Like put it this: if you go, okay, we picked Cookie, Murray went out there, he got gassed by Reece Walsh. We go, you know what? Damn,
yeah, so bad.
Damn, Murray got gassed. We lost our Tom Trbojevic. Fair enough. If the other way goes and Tommy goes down and Burton goes out there, but Reece Robson struggles for the 80 minutes, damn. You know what I mean? Like that. I think that's what most people are a bit frustrated with. Is we went like this in-between route where we picked the hooker they picked the hooker rotation and then went the Burton route. You know, like that's what is.
And doesn't it just all, for me, like, I hate to say it, but it all comes back to what Matty John said 6 weeks ago. I'm sure he was trying to take the piss out of Joey, but fuck me, tell me anything he said was wrong. The Queensland know exactly what they're going to do. They know exactly who they're going to pick. They know exactly how we're going to play. For me, once again, I even listened to Brandy explaining what they did after the game, and it still made no sense to me.
Freddie, I believe, looking on now, having seen how it did play out, went into it, that if one of 7 players was to go down injured, Damien Cook was going to the back line. A bloke who'd never essentially played there. I think
he played like going up.
He played a little bit of fullback for the Dragons at like 20 years old. I remember it. Yeah. But still, like...
Yeah, it's not a while ago.
Like that's a decade ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a big ask.
It's massive ask. What exemplifies Billy Slater and the idea of like they had a specific plan and they stuck to it or whatever, it's Dave Fafita. He didn't try a single bit of flash. He just ran the ball straight and hard at Mitch Moses all night long. He didn't even consider anything else. All his job was run straight and hard at Moses. And I think that that's a really good example of Billy Slater saying, "Oi, mate, you aren't picked to break tackles, score a million tries. Your job is to run hard 10 times at Mitchell Moses." And that's exactly what he did.
Yeah. And if you want further evidence, I think look at the fullback, Reece Walsh. What have we been saying here for 10 weeks? So talented. Just needs to get those 3 errors out of his game. Makes 1 error in 2 games for his debut, and they went after him too.
And he was throwing crazy balls. Like
he didn't
risky.
take no risks whatsoever. He took calculated risks at the right time and nailed it.
My God, that's terrifying for the Broncos. The Broncos opposition. If you, for the casual sort of football fan out there that listens to the Bloke potty, when we talk about Cookie out of position, we sort of keep saying a few different things, but go back and have a look at, Kemp, you touched on the technical side of it earlier with Cookie at centre, but defensively, the Xavier Coates try, and it was the one where he jams in where he had absolutely no need to do. They had him covered, and this pretty safe defensive position for the Blues turned into bang, catch, pass, try. And that was, just go have a look at it and you go, oh, okay, so he shouldn't have gone in, he should have just stayed out on his man.
Because the thing at defending at centre, it's a decision-making position. And that's where he's fast, mad. It's a decision-making position, and that's where it matters so much, and that's where it's so much easier if we would have just taken an edge back row and say, hey, shift one spot. Because the reality is when you're defending in the middle,
well, I don't get.
You have to be a good tackler to defend in the middle. You have to be a good defender to defend at centre, and there's such a difference.
What I don't get though is like, okay, if you're really, really concerned about Murray out there, just push Luai out 1 further and put Murray at 3. Yeah, like because then he's literally only a few metres away from where he would normally be. Luai definitely could defend at centre. Like,
It's funny too, like I mentioned before, Reece Walsh made 1 error. Do you know what that 1 error was? It's when they did a quick shift coming out of their own end and he dropped it cold because he looked up and saw Damien Cook and he was already thinking, how am I going to put the ball down? It was the one time that he dropped the ball and I just sat there and went, thank God, he was about to skin us and make us look stupid.
Mate, what about Nanai, essentially first run? I know he threw the silly ball, but he just went whack, right foot, boom, big fend.
On Cookie, hey?
Line break. No, on Luai. Yeah, but he did step Cookie.
Yeah.
And thank God he threw that ball over the sideline.
Yeah.
But it's just like, you know what? I'll cop that silly ball because that is ridiculous, bro. This is Origin. You don't just right foot, boom, fend, line break. That doesn't happen.
Was there anything more poetic than the end of the game when Queensland kicked to that edge? Damien Cook goes up, takes a great catch, but playing out of position, drops the ball in the air,
Gets
no one
hit.
gets near it, and who puts the ball down? Nanai, picked out of absolutely nowhere. And what's he best known for when he's playing his best footy? Tries off fucking kicks, and he's the guy that's there for it.
Didn't that... It summed up that for the Maroons and the selections, but didn't it sum up poor old Cookie as well, who tried his arse off? It was a great take. Gets taken out by his own player, and Fubsy just like, give the where
bloke
is
a
the
break.
footy god?
Yeah. Oh, man. What did Cookie do to the footy gods? So I feel so sorry for Cookie. As I said, he ripped and teared. He tried his heart out. He just getting thrown in Origin at centre. Fuck. And you've got Munster and DCE going, oh, okay, sweet, let's go. Oh, man.
And like we all know that when Freddie would have said this to Cook in Cookie's mind would have gone, what? Why? I'll do it. I will do whatever you say, and I'll do my absolute best at it because that's who Cookie is. But I'm sure even he would have been like, Jesus, surely there's other guys here.
And I feel like, Guru, you mentioned before about like if Ben Hunt had to go to Sydney, do a job or this or that, because don't mistake me, the Maroons picked the same bench. If they lost an outside back, they had a similar scenario where it would have been, it happened in game one, Cotter or someone going to centre.
Yeah.
I feel like every time the Blues get that opportunity, they never know how to zero on that defensive deficiency on a bloke out of position. Happens to the Blues one game because we didn't have cover on the bench. Like even game one, there was Nico there who was, at least he's a backline player.
They went straight to him.
This game, the Queensland's whole game plan just went, let's go target the bloke out of position, make him make decisions.
Yeah.
And they nailed it. But the Blues never do that when Queensland have a forward shift out wide.
Yeah, and like we spoke about after game one too, we all spoke about Nico there. The team on the other side of the park had 12 players and had Ben Hunt, Cotter in the centres. No one fucking talks about it. I understand Freddie made the wrong decision, but that's the problem. The issue is that we just can't handle it like you guys do.
When are we getting to the women's game last night? I'm over the men's.
All right, let's get to Queensland. You're going to get more over it. Okay. I just want to make a note of, and I've been trying to do this on all podcasts. Yes, these decisions, in our opinion, we disagree with the Freddie and some of the selections, but let's not forget all the good things he's done. Let's not forget the fact that he is still at 50% win rate. Let's not forget all the time and effort he's put into community rugby league. I mean, there was a period there where New South Wales younger kids didn't want a bar of rugby league. He got on his motorbike, he drove out through the country, brought passion back to the jersey, in my opinion. And so I just want to make sure people don't just because it may or may not have ended, but just because the last couple of years have been tough, let's not forget all the great things he's done as well.
And I completely agree with all that, and he wouldn't be my head coach, but I completely agree with everything else he has done off the field in that role has been fantastic.
Incredible.
He might not be my head coach, but he's involved somehow. And even like when we were doing the country tours, we spent quite a bit of time on the road with Matty, and just the amount of stories he had about Freddie, little things he's done, it just made me fall in love with Freddie all over again. Maybe he's not the guy to coach us, but God, I don't know what you want to call it, whether it's like an ambassador or whatever the hell it is. There's a role there for Freddie.
Like a
he does it
cultural
incredibly.
thing, like
a cultural
a culture,
leader.
yeah.
I don't know what it is. And it's so typical of Freddie. You can't quite explain what it is that he does. You can't quite explain what position he was best at when he was playing, but he has got something about him, and it might not be in coaching. God, he's done a tremendous role for New South Wales.
Yeah. Ken and Eyes will be the man.
Yeah,
Freddie Fielder.
legend, absolute legend. So whatever happens going forward, let's remember also the great stuff he did as well. Let's not just fucking, the whole thing was shit and this, that. No. This guy has dedicated his life to New South Wales Rugby League. It may not have turned out the best, but he has dedicated his fucking life to it.
There's a reason why Kempy has his picture on top of Darren Lockyer and the other guy.
That was low, Guru. That was really low. Trying to give your coach credit and you bloody just kicked the boot in.
No, let's give your coach some credit.
Okay, let's get into it. Reece Walsh at fullback. I mean, talk about... Look, I honestly... Look, maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like if he was being coached by any other coach, then maybe Wayne Bennett could have handled it, but any other coach than Billy Slater, I think that maybe game one gets to his head a little bit. And he comes out game two. I mean, he was even nervous game two, but I think Billy Slater did such a good job at just keeping him focused in on what he needed to do. We saw, obviously, the explosion at the end, but they were like this kid. He's tiny. He's there's not much of him. Came out and he obviously came out and apologised after, but came out and said some pretty harsh words about New South Wales. He was public enemy number one, and for him to still turn up and get the job done the way he did, is absolutely incredible. Like, talk about a superstar. Wow.
Just owns big moments, doesn't he?
Far
Well, my favourite thing about Reece Walsh was, and it was an interview that Billy Slater did after the game, and I can't remember where it was or who the interview was with, but they said to him, Reece Walsh did this, he did that, he was so good. Do you see a bit of, and they went to say yourself in him, and he went, nah, he's his own guy, he's his own player. Reece Walsh is Reece Walsh. And I love that Billy Slater just embraces who Reece Walsh is. And, there was, even the stuff at the end of the game, that's who Reece Walsh is. Yeah, he'll talk it up, but he'll also back it up. And he's done it for 2 games in a row.
Yeah.
I saw a lot of New South Wales people sort of putting on social media, wait till you come to Sydney. He's coming to Sydney to collect the shield.
Yeah,
Shut
bro.
up.
Like,
Please.
it's a bit late in the game to be bloody...
Give it away.
Yeah, that's craziness. He was electric. And, like, these weren't easy tries. These are high-risk, high-skill plays at him. Like the over-the-top, like, we're not... Because there were so many other great things that happened in the game, we're forgetting that some of these passes that he made to get those points were fucking amazing. And also, the tenacity in which he ran the ball back, like, there is not much of that guy. And I didn't see it, like, maybe he got dominated once or twice, but very often he found his front.
Yeah.
Crazy.
And even that's now 2 games of Origin where we had Nathan Cleary and Mitch Moses, 2 of the top 3 or 4 best kicking games in rugby league.
Yeah.
How often did they find the turf? How often was Reece Walsh caught out of position?
Like, once at the start when he was nervous, and that's it.
How many games of first grade has Reece Walsh played? 30?
Yeah, 40 max.
35 or something?
Yeah.
Like,
Crazy.
As a footballer, he typifies everything that's great about rugby league, and he's going to put so many bums on seats and be such a great, as we said leading into the game, leading into the series, be a pin-up boy for rugby league for so many years. Well, now he's done in the Origin arena. We know he can handle the big stage. It's like, well, it's undeniable. Like, I, like every Blues fan on the planet, at the end of the game, wanted to jump through and just put it on his chin at full time when he was carrying on. And I'm just sitting there going, it was because I had this just moment of, it's just going to be another love-hate relationship with the Queensland Saints. I love him so much, and as a footballer and enjoying everything he does. But then I'm just like, he's just going to terrorise us for the next 10, 15 years. Might just have to put him on my Supercoach side every year, so I'm like,
get something out of him.
There. I get something good out of Reece Walsh.
How many games?
52.
52.
wow.
So next year,
Imagine when he's at 152 at Brisbane. Like,
what do you do? What do you do with KP and him next year?
Well, at the moment, it's his jersey.
You don't drop Walsh,
Mm.
but like KP's fit and fire. If KP's fit, he will fire. What a problem to have.
Crazy problem to have.
you're now in a rare position where, like, even if you were to lose Reece Walsh next year for whatever reason, like, your team could get better.
Yeah.
If you get KP at his best with a point to prove, it could be more dangerous.
And the way Billy coaches, or like this all-out attack, picking his best team, he'll find a spot for KP next year. And I know it's hard because you have this 2-hooker rotation, so do you put a little KP on the bench? I bet he'll do it. Then he just plays Hunt as that 13 and gets minutes to him there, and then he has KP coming on as other X factor. Conservative coaches wouldn't. Probably doesn't make complete sense, but I bet Billy would game 1 next year if they're fit, picks them both.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting because I reckon maybe a plan could be, let's say Reece Walsh keeps killing it, and then DCE retires in maybe 2 years. Ben Hunt goes to 7, Grant goes to starting hooker, Ponga goes to 14. That could be something that builds, like, keeps that.
I like that because then Harry's got 80 minutes in him. Fit as a fiddle. He can do it. You don't have hooker cover on the bench, but if he goes down, Hunt goes there and KP comes in on the halves.
Other big advantage you
Like
got is you
that.
got Ruben Cotter.
Oh, Cotter too.
And also he covers outside backs. If an outside back goes down, Kalen Ponga goes there. And honestly, I reckon KP could bang out, I don't know, 10 minutes hooker if he had to.
Of course he could.
Yeah.
Remember when he banged out 10 minutes at lock and looked like a fucking immortal on debut?
So I reckon that might be a bit of the plan. Depending on
that.
how good Dearden goes, though. You know, Dearden might be the guy that steps straight in, but maybe not because he may not be ready to, like, organise the troops yet.
In saying that, there's no indication based on what Dearden has shown us that he won't be ready at this point in time.
Mate, he was outstanding last week.
And if anyone's going to get the very best out of him, it's B. Slater.
Coates, he was outstanding. He was so good. He was so good. Like, he was aggressive. He was taking super tough carries, 5 tackle breaks, 8 tackles, only 1 miss, 0 errors. Like, just so good. So good. And then obviously, even just the pressure of him catching balls, it essentially got us 2 tries. Because you got the Fox obviously knocked the ball, didn't catch the ball. And then Addo Carr comes racing in because of the pressure of Coates, essentially. He played outstanding. Valentine Holmes, Jesus. He can find the try line in Origin.
You know what almost made me cry this morning? I think it was on the Hello Sport podcast, and they said, how old's Val Holmes? And in my head I went, 30, 31. He's 28 years old.
I know.
Like, he's going nowhere. I was looking at him compared to the rest of this team going, he's the older head. Like, he's still got 5 years of Origin in him.
He's hitting his prime. It's crazy.
It's unbelievable.
I mean, so we've already talked about him, but I knew this kid was special, but I don't know if I knew this. I really didn't. I knew that he had so much untapped potential, but to come in and just go to another level, it's amazing. It is seriously amazing. Tuolangi, he was unbelievable.
You know who Murray reminds me of? Matt Singh. He does everything right on the ball, and then, imagine if we would have sat here 3 weeks ago and gone, he's one of the best defensive wingers in rugby league, people would have gone, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah.
He saved about 4 tries in this series.
Literally.
And then whenever his moments came in attack where he had to deliver, got it right every single time.
Amazing.
Shout out to this guy. He has been praising him since about round 4, and I've been sitting there going, you can't possibly leave Dane Gagai out. Just you nailed that.
You nailed that.
Thanks, mate.
Because
That hurt me more than the New South
Wales.
Wales loss, but you nailed that.
I was
Tough
the same. It's a tough week for Guru. I was the same, mate. I was the same as Guru. I don't get me wrong. I think Tuolangi's a good player, but I was like, there's no way you can leave Gagai out of that side. But Jesus, so good. Cam Munster. What I loved about Cam Munster's performance, did he have the big crazy plays? No, but geez, he was level-headed. I mean, he was even telling other people, stay calm, stay calm. You're going, who's this bloke? Who the hell is this bloke? Like, he was so calm and collected, and the big plays that he made, obviously those 2 kick covers, but even, you forget, that short side raid where that bounce went bad for Payne Haas, that was Munster taking it on the 5th tackle on a short side. Like, that's a big play in Origin.
Isn't it wild with Munster? And we obviously talk a lot of Supercoach. And the thing is with Cam Munster, for every other player in this comp that's a big Supercoach player, if you look at their matchup and you go, they're going to win by 40, you go, that's a great Supercoach day for them. Munster, we go, if he's not needed, he won't deliver. He'll just go, okay, you guys don't need me right now.
Yeah.
It's when he plays Penrith and these sort of teams in the NRL that Supercoach-wise we go, this is where Munster will stand up.
Yeah.
Isn't this a classic game that in the game before this, they were down to 12, they were down on the scoreboard, and Munster went, okay, I'll win it now.
Yeah.
I'll do what it takes right now. This game, he didn't need to.
He ran for 173 metres. The most of any Queenslander.
I think it's such... I think that stat there, Kempy, probably typifies the Maroons' performance a fair bit in that a 32-6, call it what it was, a demolition, you'd think, all right, so one-sided, there'd be a few blokes running for over 200 metres, if not that, 170, 180, 190. He was the most metres in the Maroons team very comfortably. Reece Walsh, 146. Goes down to Lindsay Collins was the top running forward with 136 metres. Like Tino 84, Fafita 84, Nanai 69, Grant 51, Flegler 45, Fodway 77. A lot of these blokes, no one really stood out metres wise, but just such a 1-17 performance, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And I know that outside of Cotter, who went in the 80, there was such a well-dispersed spread of minutes. I know I really played big minutes, but again...
Well, the lowest was 30 minutes.
Yeah, goes back to Billy. He's nailed that, hasn't he?
How good was Fodawaker off the bench? Jeez, he gave us some momentum. He come on and he was just rolling through the middle, just that big, thick, figure. Like, he just rolled through the middle. Obviously, Tino. My God. This guy is unbelievable. DCE... Is it one of the great Origin redemption arcs? One of the greatest?
It's unbelievable what he's done. I honestly thought after that test match that he lost to Tonga, I genuinely thought, his rep career is probably over. His rep career started that day.
He might get that jersey back at the end of this year.
As if the Kangaroos jersey.
Yeah, he might get it back off Cleary. That's how good he played.
I love that. He will. Oh, the Kangaroos one.
I thought you were telling me to get the Maroons jersey. And you're like, yeah, Kempy.
Yeah, great tip, bro. Great tip. No, he genuinely.
Slater might be the coach. So you never know.
But is that not a fair comment?
Yeah, no,
he genuinely might fight that jersey back.
It becomes a debate again.
Yeah, whereas last year I was all in. I said it's Cleary's team now, give it to him.
Yeah.
And I would probably still have that. But you can't deny these huge games that DC has been having in the biggest games you possibly can. It's one of the greatest redemption arcs, and it would have been a few years it was so tough for Cleary in regards, but he just put his head down, bum up, didn't complain, didn't sook, and now he's beloved by the state.
Well, it would have been interesting if the Kangaroos didn't win the World Cup. Because then it'd be like, well, DC keeps getting results, but because they won the World Cup, you probably are Cleary's the man, but yeah.
I mean, I think that he'll be in the squad at least.
Yeah.
Putting pressure.
I love the comments that Slater had about that tackle of DCE.
Yeah.
It's just so good. He just said it was all about want. And he wanted it more in that
What was a
moment.
quote? I can because we are.
Yeah.
I think it's like some older quote that old coach said, I can because we are. Fuck. Billy. Jesus Christ. Make a grown man cry.
Like hearing him say those words and the way he delivered, I just sat in my chair and went, oh, fuck.
He's so hard to try.
I can
and not
feel
like.
that hurting me in 2028, let alone 2023.
Yeah.
That's brutal.
Now my next boy I want to talk about. Tino. I think Tino's game was so underrated. I think it got a bit overshadowed by Lindsay because Lindsay Collins was phenomenal, but fuck, Tino was good. But my boy Paddy Carrigan, he is seriously on another level.
Yeah, he is, in every single Origin he's played, he's been in the top 3 on the field for me.
Best 30 in the comp now, you reckon?
It's getting hard and hard to push back on. I feel like the constant conversation is Murray or Yo. It's Murray or Yo gets to compete with him now, I think.
Yeah,
They're so different.
I think,
Yes,
he's more of a
yes.
front rower
Yeah,
kind of.
yeah.
But I think right now, form-wise, Paddy Carrigan's the best.
But I also think, yes, he's more of a front row, but I think if you put Carrigan into the Penrith system and Ivan Cleary said, I need you to play Isaiah Yo's role, Jesus Christ, Isaiah Yo's role, he'd be completely fine.
Oh,
He'd be
yeah.
able to
His
handle
ball playing has improved out of sight. Like, there was a period there where he really didn't have much ball playing, but just even like little things like his tip-ons to Collins, like, geez, getting across the field, a tip-on to Collins on your edge defenders so we're getting one-on-one tackles and then we just go at you again. Like, that's all Paddy Carrigan. And the problem, like, he was going right to the line, but also he's as big as a front rower that you have to be honest with him. Otherwise, he will bump you, just dummy and go.
I know it's very early days, but he's 25 years of age. Like, in the position he plays, he could have 10 years of Origin left for him. Like, he's a guy that I genuinely think by the end of his Origin career, he'll be in Maroon's best 17s, I reckon.
There'll be a lot of
He might
I agree.
even been a Maroon best 13.
I agree. I think by the end of his career, if he continues this, he'll be considered an Origin legend.
Especially because he's in a team that doesn't have Smith, Slater, Cronk, all these out-and-out legends. Like, he is playing a genuine role in every single one of them. And I think when you look at Pat Carrigan and, his Origin career, how it's going to play out, DCE is going to come and go. Cam Munster's probably going to come and go as if he is older than him. And Pat Carrigan's just going to be a consistent figure for the next 10 years.
He's probably the next captain.
He'd be my next captain.
Yeah, he's probably
If he was in the Blues side, he'd be my captain next year. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah. If DCE went, I'd probably give him captaincy. Either him or Munster, but probably him.
Yeah, by end of career, he'll be in the Maroons' best ever 13 argument. Still got, you have to do a bit to get past David Stagg, but he'll be in the argument.
Yeah, and we're not saying he definitely will be. We're saying if this continues, because put it this way, he could have won man of the match in every single one of Queensland's wins so far that he's played in.
If
That's how good he's
Sportsbet
been.
want to give me a market, I will responsibly swallow it up.
Let's actually Sportsbet. Let's get the bloody. Where's the Sportsbet tracker? Now with Sportsbet, you can track the progress of your same-game multi with a tracker feature. There is now no need to switch between different apps to find stats and numbers relevant to your multi. Everything is all in one place on the Sportsbet app. There are also brand new markets you can track, including total player points scored, player A or B to score a try. Follow your multi the easy way with Sportsbet. New NRL same-game multi tracker only on Sportsbet. Download the Sportsbet app today. As always, guys, gamble responsibly. You win some, but you lose more. But Sportsbet, the best app on the planet when it comes to having a punt. We all know this. So if you're going to have a punt, you got to do it with Sportsbet, but do it responsibly. Now we'll continue. Flegler, outstanding. Harry Grant, solid. Ruben Cotter. Ruben fucking Cotter. He's played 3 different positions and arguably been man of the match in 3 of the games.
Yeah. Maniac. Absolute maniac. I said to Matty the other day, he's Dallas Johnson all over again, but I think he's more versatile.
But more explosive.
Yeah. He's a modern day version of Dallas, I think.
He is so fucking good. Mate, he's on the edge. He started on the edge.
Yeah. That blew my mind.
And, like, he nailed every tackle.
Yeah.
The only time he got bumped was top. Everything else, he dominated the tackle.
Because he'd always, to my memory, been in the middle because he played middle and obviously played hooker coming through.
Yep.
Big change to the edge. It doesn't just happen like that.
Decider.
Yeah.
Like, decider. Suncorp, we're going to start you on the edge. Fucking hell.
Shout out to Billy Slater if you want your next one. I'll let you know at the start of next season, okay?
Hey, can we just look?
Send me an invoice, Billy.
Look, I just want to throw it out there. I said Reece Robson at the start of the year. Just saying. Like, you know, is it as big as the Cotter call? Maybe not. But I'm just saying it was there. And I did it.
Cool. Nice call.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Because no one's fucking said anything. Jesus
you have to
You're going
Christ.
to follow my lead and bring it up every single week repeatedly.
Come on, people. I said it at the start of the year. He's a schmokey. Nah, I mean, look, he was already 19th man the year before, so it's not really that big of a call. Yeah, Ruben Cotter. Moe Fodawaker, I thought he was outstanding. He really, really was. Like, he come on, 31 minutes, 77 metres. And as you alluded to, Timmy, like, they just spread the load so well. Like, they just all, like, there's not a 1 to 17 right there, all 8 out of 10.
Yeah.
Which is, that's how you, like, you're not going to get beaten when you're all playing 8 out of 10. So, what an incredible, I mean, it's just amazing what they're achieving.
I was laughing at the scenes after the game when they were at the upstairs room at the Caxton. And all these videos were coming out, and I kept saying to my wife, "Oh, that's where we stood and had a bit." Oh, she eventually goes, "Nathan, I don't give a fuck. Shut up."
Oh, how good was it seeing the boys still in their kit walking into bloody?
best.
Oh,
So good.
mate.
The Alfie video, I think Roasty posted it, was all time.
All time. And I will say that, like, and I know this is nitpicking and it means nothing. It does. It's not a big deal in regards to winning Origins. But, like, New South Wales don't really have that.
We don't.
Like, we've got a historic pub that we all roll into. We got Alfie Langer dancing on tables, and it happens, regularly. Whereas, like, there's no real connection to anywhere in New South Wales. Like,
Very cool.
And mate, there's 3 pubs across the road from our stadium.
And there's no, like, you don't really, you'll see the boys celebrating, but there's no traditional history that they can be like, this is where Joey went to have beers after he won a series. And, this is where this Freddie, all of these, whereas just Queensland, there's all this history and nostalgia that they all just seem to pull on. They just, so that it's just an interesting side discussion, really.
And even if, like, if you gave me the job of creating a spot like that, I have no idea where I'd start.
Yeah.
No idea whatsoever.
It's tough.
And a casino?
I do
don't know.
I do think it's like, it is something that New South Wales, and I do believe Freddie tried to do this, but I do think that New South Wales, it is something they need to focus on, is like building a connection to the past that is extremely clear. And it's easy to say because we had the 8 in a row, but like, I just think that there's a clear lineage for Queensland from like woe to here. You can see the connection, like they all go to the same pub, they play at the same ground, this. Whereas like New South Wales, look, it's a different state and it's not a big deal, but it's very easy for Queensland coaches to like show the players like,
Sure. And the reality is that, when Queensland win a series in 2040, you know which pub they'll be going back to?
They'll be going to Catco.
And it won't be Alfie standing on the thing. It'll be Munster. It'll just be the same thing.
It'll be an AI version of Alfie.
Yeah, it'll be AI.
Hologram. He'll come back from the dead just to party. Skeleton Alfie.
Tell you what, I thought I saw Skeleton Alfie at Magic Round about 2 a.m.
Yeah, again, it's not a big deal. It's, like I'm sure that there's some tradition in regard, but it is something to
But it kind
note.
of is a big deal, I think.
Yeah, fair.
Well, what do you reckon as New South Wales? I know you hate talking about it, but
Caxton's kind of cool. That's it.
Yeah, so just amazing stuff. And I guess the concerning thing for New South Wales is that this side is actually extremely young.
Yeah.
Except for key positions. You could say DCE is probably in his last year or two, although he doesn't look like he's slowing down. And then you got Benny Hunt last maybe year or two. But, guys like Dearden coming through. I will say the one concern for Queensland that they have to address will be that structured, controlling 7. Can Dearden be that? I think he has a potential, but he's probably not there yet.
Yeah, and I think that, we got Exhibit A, our halfback went down last week, and it came down to the form of players in round 14. There was 3 and 4 different options. DCE wasn't available next year. There's no question for you guys. You know your path. You know where you're going. And I personally think that Tom Dearden would slip in there perfectly.
Yep, he'd take care of it.
But even then, Ches you another year or two out of, and then you probably Benny Hunt go to 7 and you get a year or two out of him at the back end of his career because he's a freak. By then, Dearden is what we keep saying, halves tend to peak in there. About 28, 29, he'd be getting to his mid to late 20s by that point. And
he'd be about 25 by
so still pretty, not that thing young. But there's another 3-4 years of development for him as a halfback and what they want.
Because I reckon in an ideal situation, and this is just me guessing from watching Billy Slater, I reckon in an ideal world, he would want those guys to come in and wear the 14 jersey, like everyone did for Queensland.
Oh, Dearden?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the only thing that could, make that, change that is the fact that he's already debuted at 6.
Yeah, that's the one thing with Dearden that makes a difference. But I reckon, everyone else in the future I reckon he will bring them in and say, hey, you got to show us you can earn.
Yeah, for sure.
I was really happy to get through the Queensland part of this podcast, Kempy, but it amazed me at how quickly you slipped past Lindsay Collins.
Mate.
Oh, my God. Talk about, blokes just evolving when they put on a new jersey. There's a few people over the years with Queensland who have done that. Dane Gagai's been famous for puts on that jersey and becomes a new player. Lindsay Collins, holy God.
Yeah, it's meant. So after the game, the journo kind of had the same reaction. Billy, in the post-press, Billy, Lindsay Collins, where did that come from? That was the kind of vibe. And Billy Slater was like, mate, I want you to go and watch a Roosters game. Don't watch the Roosters, just watch Lindsay Collins. He said he's been doing this all year long. It's just in a different environment. I knew Lindsay Collins would play like this.
I think my favourite moment of the week was a post in Punters and Dribblers, and I don't know who it was, but shout out to them. And it said, geez, that Lindsay Collins plays good footy considering he discovered fire yesterday. I thought that was the best thing ever. And yeah, God, he is a gun. He just, I was doing it all live on the Instagram story, and he took a run. And I just went, geez, fuck, he's a good player. And then 2 seconds later, he picks up a ball on his toes.
Unbelievable.
At full pace.
Fucking hell.
Just crazy. And even if he didn't have that moment in game 1 where he leaped over the Australian fullback at the 79th minute to set up the match-winning try of Origin with 12 players on the field, don't need to repeat that again. But just what he did in game 2, just the little moments he had, simply incredible. And I loved how excited the other players were when he got man of the match. I think it was Carrigan and Cotter that came up to him.
I think Carrigan put it over his.
Did he? Oh, mad. So it was just so good.
I actually, I think it was 2020. At the start of the year, I think we're a few games in, I said, I reckon Lindsay Collins will make Origin. And I got fucking smashed for it, in the comments. Anyway, he made his debut. Lindsay Collins has been putting these performances in for Queensland since 2020. You go back and watch that series. Him and Christian Welsh in Game 3 were fucking phenomenal. Lindsay Collins is a beast. And he's, 25 years old, I think? 24? Relatively young. He's 27. So he's relatively young for a front rower. He's still got at least 3 to 4 years in him. Mate, he is so fucking good. And just tough. Fuck, he's tough.
There was a game in 20... What year did you get the spoon? Was that 2020 or 21? Brisbane?
2020...
Whichever year that was, it was a game the Roosters were playing Brisbane and you got beat by 40 or 50.
2021, I think.
Yeah, and he scored a good individual try, and I remember everyone was raving about him. And I obviously hadn't watched enough of him yet, and I sort of thought, this guy scores one try and people are getting a little bit over the top. And I sort of said that on the podcast, and a heap of Queenslanders absolutely pizzled me for it. And then I started watching him close and went... Fuck, I might not have been more wrong about something.
Mate, he's a fucking beast.
Probably a stat that I need to look at a bit more because it is an important one, but just average play the ball speed, and you're going through it. Lindsay Collins, quickest average play the ball speed on the field with 3.24. Murray Taulagi was the only one a little bit quicker. He was 3.19, but a winger, very different story. But every other back on the field, both teams, every forward, Lindsay Collins.
Fuck, a guy that big.
Yeah.
That is amazing. What an
minutes did he play? In the end,
42.
Would you give, at the moment, the Wally Lewis medal, does it go to Lindsay Collins, Reuben Cotter or Paddy Carrigan?
I think Cotter's a really good shout. Isn't it wild though in an Origin series like this? Like they're the three guys we're discussing.
Yeah, we're not talking about
Crazy.
DC, Munster, Reece Walsh.
Three middle forwards essentially.
Yeah, just battlers.
Yeah, I don't know which one I go. It comes down to game 3, but it has to be one of those three.
Right now, if you had to hand it out.
Yeah, well, I'm probably going to hand it out to Ruben Cotter so I can fucking give you a shit about it. My initial reaction was Pat Carrigan.
Yep.
I would genuinely give it to Lindsay Collins right now, but it'd take another monster performance for me to still be saying that after game 3. He can do it. He's just done 2 in a row, but like I would be surprised if I was saying that after game 3 still.
Yeah. I think at the moment, it'd be Lindsay Collins. I mean, we're talking about huge in the 32-6 win, match-winning setup try, and then obviously everything else he did. But with how consistent I know Paddy Carrigan is, I think he might be firm to back her up and go back-to-back Wally Lewis.
I don't know who has the most Wally Lewis medal awards, but geez, I reckon Pat Carrigan is going to be a really good
Could you
shout
imagine
throughout his career.
debut year he got it? No one talked about that. Could you imagine if he goes back-to-back debut years? Probably the first time it ever happened.
He's a really good chance to do it. I'm going to back him to get at least 3 during his Origin career because you get the same thing every single game. And games like this, it's all good and well. They won by 32. Other guys stood out and whatnot. When there's a game that is just tight, hence state of origin, Paddy Carrigan is always going to be in the top 3.
Mate, he's fucking... And like, he's relentless. It isn't just in the first 20 minutes of each half. It could be the 79th minute and he is coming from the fences. Anyway,
Just quickly going up and down, it looks like Cam Smith's got the most Wally Lewis's.
How many? Like ballpark? More than 3?
4, 07, 11, 13, 16.
you want to hear something even more fucked? This is going to really hurt, boys. I apologise.
Do we have to be here for it?
Yeah.
You have to be here, and you can confirm this, but I'm pretty sure New South Wales have only won 4 Origins in 18 years.
4 Origin series, is that what you're saying? In 18 years?
Because 06.
Well, you went 11 from 12 in that period?
Yeah. And then 3 since then.
See you next week, guys.
How fucked is that?
We done?
Anything, boys?
Fuck, that's insane.
I didn't want to come in the first place.
Oh, okay. Fuck, I was just looking for a bit of feedback here.
Well, what's that since 05? Is that
It was
right?
05, 14, 21, 18, 19, 5? Yeah. 18, 19,
Well,
21.
if you start from 06, we've
if you start from
only
06,
got
yeah.
14, 18, 19, 21.
Adds up.
That's 4 by my count.
You're onto it, Guru. You're onto it. Make sure to give Guru a follow at Rugby League Guru. Give Timmy a follow, SC Playbook 1. Don't follow Timmy. Maddie. Unfollow Maddie.
Don't follow
Thanks,
Timmy.
mate.
though.
Unfollow Maddie. Unfollow Maddie if you're following it. No. Give Maddie the water boy a follow. Anything you need to push, boys?
Beers and break-evens next Wednesday. Other than that, I think I need a nap.
Okay. Maybe for 18 years.
Yeah.
These jumpers, the 3rd, 6 p.m. Be there. Very limited amount going. Make sure to set your shekels aside, $79.95. They're going to be flying off the shelves, so set your alarms. And as usual, should we talk? No, I'll go and fuck myself.
What are you really gambling with? For free and confidential support, visit gamblinghelponline.org.au.